In a couple seconds, we are ranking the top 10 WNBA players of 2024 so far.
I bet by now we all know who Caitlin Clark is and how amazingly talented she is when it comes to playing basketball. While a lot of people are impressed, quite a lot of people can't seem to wrap their heads around the hype she's been getting. She seems to be getting a lot of hatred from her fellow players, senior players, critics, and the general public just for existing. The majority of them believe she's done nothing to garner such attention and support and should in no way be referred to as the superstar of women's basketball. Now, not only has this sparked controversy among her fans and supporters, but this has also caught the attention of veteran basketball players all over the world. Let's see what legends like Larry Bird and Michael Jordan have to say about a powerhouse player like Caitlin Clark and the situation she's in.
Horston's got to come with hands up. You can't let Clark see the rim.
If we're all being fair to Clark and her exceptional talent, while also taking a good look into the history of basketball and all the stars that have graced the NBA, both past and present, we'd all agree that no one has displayed such electrifying and captivating skills on the court like Clark has done in a very short while. Let's not forget that Clark was referred to as the WNBA's new superstar for a reason. This was after she set some crazy records just one season into her career. Do you all remember when Caitlin broke the league's attendance records and had millions of viewers watching her on TV? Yes! That time, Clark has been making serious moves, but have things been easy for her? Unfortunately, no.
Primed to do the same for women's basketball, creating new possibilities for the next generation of players. Caitlin Clark is on track to cement her legacy as one of the greatest to ever play the game.
This is where things get weird. While one would expect that creating a name for herself and setting a new standard for the WNBA would make the news as one of the most inspiring stories of all time, it seems Clark's magical moment has people pressed, and they can't seem to stomach her rapid success. There's been brewing hatred and jealousy around her trying to undermine her impact in the WNBA, and it's not going unnoticed. The great Hall of Famer Rick Barry, who we all know has unfiltered and unbiased opinions, had this to say about Clark after watching her do her thing on the court. To Rick Barry, Clark is that spark that's needed in the WNBA, but can those in the WNBA handle her growth and fame? No, they can't, and this is because they're threatened. Very easy to spot.
Were all of them warranted to be a flagrant foul? What about some of the petty cheap shots that she's received that weren't called as technical foul?
And this has become very obvious to fans and the general public. Clark never had a smooth ride, and her WNBA hasn't been without challenges. Her fans have also observed that Clark is facing extreme physical play. I mean, a ridiculous percentage of the league's flagrant fouls are being directed to Clark. And sadly, this is the highest rate ever recorded among all players. The hate became evident when one of these events eventually led to Clark getting a black eye. I mean, should a rising star be treated in such a poor manner? This has created doubts and has forced the veterans in the industry to voice out on her behalf, making sure that poor Clark gets treated just like everyone else.
It was about creating a space for talent to thrive, free from hostility and judgment. And while Jordan's words inspired countless fans, Caitlin still faced resistance. Reggie Miller doubled down, maintaining that Clark's journey required grit and resilience. But Steph Curry, the NBA's three-point king.
Oh, and yes, another very good example of the jealousy and hate we earlier mentioned was loudly expressed by the Celtics legend Paul Pierce during a conversation where he mentioned his concerns about Clark and questioned her merit for being given a spot on the U.S. Olympic team. This conversation made one thing clear, and that's the fact that Paul believes that Clark's popularity earned her that spot, and it had nothing to do with her skills or expertise. And this comment got fans enraged. A lot of people believe this to be disrespectful to Clark and her workmanship and demanded an apology from the WNBA superstar. Well, just like we expected, Paul didn't seem to care. He believed that he was only telling the truth and was going to stand by it regardless of how people felt about it. Yes, Clark is a perfect fit for marketing, and that's why she's such a hot topic right now.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact,
man. I don't care where you at.
But also,
So it's a combo?
also, if you play,
It's a
combo of both.
Yeah. Now look, Giannis just came out on his brother pod was saying like every time he played the greatest players, he said he'd get excited.
Now this is where everything gets even more heated. Immediately, Paul's view made it to the headlines. It wasn't sitting right with the public, and Dwight Howard, just like everyone else, didn't find it funny. He immediately gave his 2 cents, letting Paul know that his view about Clark was nothing but short-sighted, and this should serve as motivation for Clark to get better and better, so no one would be able to get to her. It was more like when they come for your skills, you get better at it and show them what you're capable of doing until no one can come for them anymore. No one wants to be reduced to a marketing strategy and not even an undeniable talent like Caitlin Clark.
You're not gonna hit that shot back. Like if I say 10 times you're not gonna hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, down. You just lower it like this.
And you wouldn't believe what happened next. During Angel Reese's podcast interview with Shaquille O'Neal, he couldn't stop gushing over Clark, and not gonna lie, this made the whole episode awkward. Shaq sat next to Clark's greatest rival and showed his sincere admiration for the WNBA superstar. Well, Shaq admitted that he was initially a Clark hater, and that was because of his relationship with Angel Reese, but couldn't keep that up after he witnessed how great a player Clark was. He mentioned that Clark's doing stuff he's never seen before, and every time he thinks she can't do something, she goes ahead to perform exceptionally well at it. He immediately likened her to Steph Curry, and how he repeatedly does things that no one else does on the court. And guess what Reese said? She outrightly said Clark wasn't the only one pulling crowds to the game, and others shouldn't be denied their accolades. Reese soon asked if she could move on to the next question. Well, that's understandable.
I love her game. A lot like Steph. She reminds me of Steph Curry a lot, you know?
Oh, yes. The five-time NBA All-Star Chris Mullin also had something to say about Clark's undeniable talent during a recent radio interview. He expressed his admiration for the basketball player. He also mentioned that he was quite in love with Clark's game and how similar they were to that of the great Steph Curry. Mullin also mentioned how impressed he was by her tough stance following a very dramatic start of her rookie season with fever.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And then her just confidence. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy, though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level.
If you have been wondering what exactly Steph Curry had to say about his woman version, then you're in the right place. When Steph was asked about how he felt about the comparisons and Clark's games in general, he mentioned that to him, Caitlin is special. He added that although Clark could shoot a three-pointer, can also use flex action, and also can score points in bunches, he thinks it's unfair to underestimate Clark's skill set and overall floor game. Curry is impressed by Clark's story, her journey, and her laid-down records, which are hard to deny.
Comments were both insightful and supportive, recognizing the intense scrutiny Caitlin has faced this season. With his experience in dealing with pressure and being under the media microscope, Jordan's words carried significant weight. This is what he had to say. Caitlin's got that fire.
Just when you thought the debate was over, Michael Jordan entered into the conversation and dropped a few points that altered everyone's perception of the situation. Do you know how bad a situation has to be to get one of the greatest players of all time to speak on a topic? Yeah, Clark's situation had MJ commenting directly on the topic during an interview. MJ didn't only praise Clark for her exceptional skills, he audaciously demanded a shift in the way she's treated and the league's approach to her. He mentioned that Clark is no different from other players and is to be treated like one. MJ's words carry so much weight, so imagine the uproar in the industry when my man said it'd be the league's loss if they ended up losing a rare talent like Clark. Everyone knew it was time to act right.
I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa, Caitlin Clark play about the same last year, so I was watching a lot of basketball.
And this final message from the greatest MVP of all time, Larry Bird, will change narratives. This was a powerful message from a man who is constantly being compared to Clark. I mean, they both won Rookie of the Year and also faced a lot of rivalry during their careers. Let's not forget their talents and how watching them play left the crowd and team members in awe, wondering how anyone could be this perfect. Let's not forget that they both made a swift move from ordinary college players straight to the biggest leagues. Although Larry has retired and now coaches the Indiana Pacers, he still watches basketball and has shown immense admiration for Clark and her skills. Larry says he's a fan. Well, who wouldn't? And he's watched her games. There's one thing these people need to understand, and that's the fact that Clareton Clark is here to stay. And yes, she's on her way to building crazy legacies, just like several other basketball icons like Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. These legends stood out since day one, and they kept this on for years. Clark has the basketball world on chokehold, and her captivating talent has been recognized by these top dogs. Clark is already dominating the WNBA and is busy making long-lasting impressions that's going to keep her in the game for a freaking long time. While we can all agree that this talented young player is just getting started, the admiration from these stars have at least made one thing sure: Clark's on the right path, and she's the perfect example for women thinking about joining women basketball. So what do you guys think? Do you think the hate and jealousy is going to stop anytime soon? Are those haters ever going to rest? Or will Clark have to continue living her life like they don't exist? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark, make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more on the exciting career of this rising superstar. Don't forget to like and share as well.